Okay, this is my speech on legalizing marijuana. I have my group here, if you can count. Here's my slides. You're not going to be able to see them throughout the video, but I'll upload them and attach them to the final. I gotta place this here. And I'll just show you guys again after. Alright, so most of this data that I had for the speech was collected via internet and various sites using data collected from Colorado, which was the first state to legalize marijuana. So, can you hear me? Okay. So yeah, most of this data was from Colorado's revenue reports and crime statistics and stuff. So, alright, so my speech is going to be on legalizing marijuana and the benefits that it produces for the economy, crime rates, and the health-wise. So, one of the biggest reasons I believe we should legalize marijuana is that of the economic benefit that it produces. It's estimated the marijuana market produces or close to $100 billion per year in revenue. The revenue reports for Colorado, the revenue reports for Colorado and Washington alone are enough to sway any who oppose legalization for marijuana. When Colorado first approved the legalization of marijuana, it was said that it was going to generate $70 million in taxes per year. For the 2016 calendar year, the reports came out and it has exceeded, or about to exceed, $140 million in revenue. With that in mind, just if all states have legalized marijuana across the board in the U.S., we could generate up to $80 billion in revenue in taxes. Or $18 billion, sorry, not 80. Yeah. All right. With that, there are different types of legalization for marijuana. We have medicinal legalization, we have regular legalization, decriminalization, and recreational uses. For medicinal purposes, you have to be prescribed by a doctor, and it's for use of treatment of cancer or people with seizures, those kind of illnesses. Legalization is marijuana can be purchased and used, but also regulated by the laws that the government set forth. Legalization only allows it to be recognized at the state levels, so federal level will not recognize the legalization. Decriminalization allows for the use of privately owned or for private use. You cannot sell or distribute marijuana openly under this, and under this type of legalization, you cannot be prosecuted for small amounts or consumption of small amounts. So, since Colorado became the first state to legalize marijuana, there's been an increase of about 6% in adults with the use of age 21 and over. Some of the states that followed were Washington, Oregon, DC, and Alaska. Additionally, there are over 20 states that have legalized marijuana for medicinal purposes. And on November 8th, we all know, 2016, Florida became the 21st state and approved amendment to legalize marijuana for medicinal use. The voting that took place, the votes were overwhelmingly decided in favor of this amendment. So with that, there's been many arguments over the dangers that come with marijuana, such as driving or the health dangers that come with it. So when comparing marijuana and alcohol use, they both have different effects when it comes to driving. As it stands now, there is no evidence to support that marijuana affects the way you drive and hinders your ability. Out of the studies that have been conducted, there's 2,500 people that were tested that were taken to the hospital from a car crash. Out of these 25 people, blood tests were given to these patients, and some tested positive for marijuana use. The ones that tested positive for marijuana use also tested positive for other drugs in their system, as well as alcohol. So when comparing the number of drivers who crashed while under the influence of any drug compared to the drivers who crashed without under the influence of any drug, marijuana showed that it made no difference from the drivers who smoked marijuana and drivers who didn't smoke marijuana. Okay. So there's still controversies on whether marijuana compares to smoking cigarettes. I can tell you that there is no comparison, since cigarettes contribute to over 480,000 deaths per year in the United States from cigarette smoke. To date, there's been no reported deaths from using marijuana or overdose from marijuana in the United States. That's zero, none. To sum it up in the larger quantities, there's been more deaths from cigarette smoke than there has been in every American war, or every death in the American war combined. So while smoking is bad for you, yes, marijuana is obviously the safer choice to use and to go with. So you can also consume marijuana in a couple of ways. The best way to consume it is by eating it. By eating marijuana, you can receive all the benefits of it without getting into the negative side effects. So, according to the court's data in Colorado, this is going over to the crime rate now, the effects of it. The arrests for marijuana have dropped to 84%, with each arrest costing around $300 to adjudicate. Since the legalization, this brought down the court costs and the court trial times significantly and allowed for other criminal charges to be processed in a timely manner. In Denver alone, the property crime has decreased 8.5% since the legalization of marijuana. So with all of this, after looking at all of the data that has been reported so far after legalization in Colorado alone, it's safe to say that marijuana is by far a safer, better, all-around, smarter choice to legalize and tax. The data clearly shows that tremendous success in each of these states have already legalized and benefited from this. So Colorado now has the fastest growing economy in the United States and is continuing to lead the way. I personally am glad that Florida is working towards full legalization and hoping to benefit from the economic growth that it produces. So with that, any questions? Okay. That's it.